Australia has recorded its best quarterly economic growth result in a year, making it one of the fastest growing economies in the developed world. SBS Finance Editor Ricardo Goncalves joins us now, and a bit of good news, Ricardo.
Anton, certainly was a bit of good news, but there is still some work to do. Now, today's economic growth result came in ahead of expectations. For the quarter, GDP expanded 0.9%, and for the year, 2.3%. But that's still well below the long-term growth trend rate of 3.25%. The headline result gave the Treasurer a reason to gloat.
Faster than any other G7 nation and one of the fastest growing economies in the developed world in the first 3 months of this year. That's good news, isn't it? Yeah, that's right.
The structural shift in Australia's economy is happening.
The transition that the Reserve Bank's been trying to bring about, where other parts of the economy pick up to offset the weakness in mining, is beginning to occur.
There's been a moderate increase in household spending, along with a pickup in exports, but we're having to work harder for the same pay, exacerbating what's being called the income recession.
We're producing more exports, particularly mining exports, and we're not getting paid as much for those exports.
On an annual basis, the housing sector continued to be an economic standout, rising to levels not seen since 2010. Net exports, consumer and government spending has been reasonable recently, but there's been a dramatic decline in business investment post-mining boom, which the government hopes will turn around as small businesses take advantage of its recently announced tax incentives.
We are going to have this drag on growth from weaker mining investment for quite a few quarters, and it's going to be quite big in the next few quarters as well.
State final demand, a measure of economic growth, rose in the eastern states and fell in the west.
Western Australia's employment growth has slowed quite sharply. Job ads are coming down.
The GDP read, which is backward looking, is unlikely to influence the Reserve Bank.
So they'll look at how the economy evolves over the next 3 months and then decide whether they need to have further interest rate cuts or not. It will be important how the currency transpires over that period of time also.
And speaking of currencies, the Aussie hit a 1-month high against the US following the data. It was up against most of the other major global currencies also. On the share market, shares slumped to their lowest level since January. The All Ords down nearly 1%. Those losses were driven by the banks, the Commonwealth, the biggest drag on the market today. Health stocks did poorly, while investors didn't like Newcrest Mining's second management shake-up this year. In Japan, the Nikkei fell as exporters reacted to a firmer yen. Shares on Wall Street finished lower in choppy trade. And on the commodity markets, both gold and oil are higher. And remember that hepatitis A outbreak linked to packets of frozen berries earlier this year? Well, the company which owns the Nana's brand, that's Paddy's Food, issued a profit warning today saying it expects earnings will fall by 9% as a result. Anton and Janice.